Hi, this is Eric Hicks from Juice Marketing and Design, and in this quick video I'm going to show you how to edit and add blog posts in your WordPress blog. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to Posts in the WordPress menu. When you click on that, you'll pull up a list of all of the posts that are on your blog. To edit a post, simply hover over the blog post title and click it, or you can come down here and click edit as well. What you'll be placed into is called the WordPress editor. This is a window that contains all the content in your blog post. I want to draw your attention to this icon right here. If you hover over that icon, it says show hide the kitchen sink, and what that does is when you click on that, it either opens or it hides a secondary set of tools. The one I'm interested in right now is this one, which is the styling drop down, and that dictates, like, I can highlight this and I can make this a heading 1, or I can make it a heading 2, a heading 3, or such as this paragraph is just a plain paragraph. This is really important when you're creating blog posts to liberally use headlines. People read headlines more than they read the actual content of a blog post. So people scan headlines and then they make decisions on if they want to actually read the blog post or not. So you should always liberally use headlines whenever possible to grab people's attention. What you'll mainly want to do is use headline 2 and 3 in your blog posts. I always encourage using 2 or 3. You don't want to use headline 1 because that is the title of the blog post uses headline 1. So you always want to use headline 2 or headline 3 in your blog posts. So just to review that, make sure the kitchen sink icon is activated, and then you can go in and select headlines or paragraphs or whatever else you'd like to use. If you want to edit your blog post, all you have to do is, once you edit the post, you can go in here and change anything you want. So I can come in here, and this is my first blog post. You can just highlight, erase, edit, do whatever you want with this blog post. So let's take a minute to talk about adding images to your blog post. First thing we want to do is position your cursor where you want the image to be located. I'm going to add mine image to the right of the headline. So I will click and position my cursor and click right to the left of the headline, then click Add Media. Add Media has this very cool feature where you can just drop files into this. So if you're using Windows, you'll open up Windows Explorer, actually grab the file, like left click on it and grab it, and then drag it into this area. You can drag files and it will upload it. Right now I'm just going to choose select files, and I have a great picture of a cheesecake here. So all I did is selected that. There it is, and all I'm going to do is with that, make sure there's a check mark in that box. I'm going to come down to the bottom right and insert this into my post. Now there's a couple things you need to check before you do that. Alignment, that this is going to determine whether the image is aligned left, center, or right, or none. I wanted this to be aligned right, so I'm going to choose that. Link to. I often recommend selecting none for link to, because what this is going to do, it's going to create a link so that if you hover and click on the image, it's going to open up that image. Well, we don't usually, when you're just adding photos to blog posts, you don't want to link to the image. You want the image to be there, but you don't want it to be clickable. So I choose none. And then as far as size, you can choose the size you want this photo to be. I usually pick full size if I've pre-sized the images that I'm going to be adding to my blog post, as in this case I did. If, say, this were a really large, like you downloaded it from your camera, the image would be very large and it wouldn't fit onto your blog post. So what WordPress does is it automatically creates a thumbnail, a medium, and a full size for you. So if you have a really big image that isn't going to fit onto the blog post, you might want to select the medium size. In this case, I'm going to pick the full size. Then you just click Insert into Post, and there you go. Notice that it made the image go to the right of the content, and then the content will wrap around this image. So when you're done editing your blog post, go here and to the right side here and click the update button. Every time you change something, you want to press that update button frequently. It's kind of like, when you type in something in Microsoft Word, and if you don't save it, you don't want to navigate off this page if it's not saved. So get into the habit of always clicking update if you've made a change. So after you've updated it, you'll get a message that says post updated, view the post. So what you can do is just right click on that view post, open in a new tab, and there we have our blog post. There you've got the headlines, and you've got that image floated right, and all the changes that we made. Now just to go back and demonstrate what you can do with these images, say you wanted to move the image, you can literally just grab the image, and you'll notice behind the image my cursor, like if I wanted to move it to right there, I just have to move my cursor to that second headline and let go, and there it bounced down to be right aligned with that second. Sometimes you don't want it in line with your headlines. Say you have a really long headline, so I'm going to make this headline really long. Okay, and you don't necessarily want the headline to be blocked by this image. So what I'll do instead is I'll make the image right aligned with the first part of this paragraph versus aligned to the right of the headline. So in that case, I'll just grab the image and drag it down right before the D in that paragraph there. And sure enough, it right aligned the image to the right of the first paragraph instead of the headline. So let's update this blog post and go take a look at it. And there you see, there's our headline not being blocked off by the image, and then the image is right aligned to the paragraph, not the headline, and all of our text wraps effectively around the image. So now let's talk about adding a brand new post. Make sure from the dashboard, make sure you clicked on posts. You can either click add new right here, or you can click add new in the left menu. I generally click add new up there, and it'll ask you for a title. And I'm just going to say this is my first blog post. Then I'll come down here and add some headlines. So I'll pick headline 2, and then add some text. Let's add another headline. Add some more text. We'll give this an image. I'll add that nice cheesecake again. And again, remember, we want it to be aligned right. We don't want it to link to anything, and we want it to be full size. You just click insert into post, and there you go. So here's one thing I'd like you to pay attention to. WordPress automatically assigns what's called a URL slug. Okay, so this right here, this is my first blog post with hyphens in between it. That becomes the address where this blog post lives at. So here's what might happen. You might not have typed in the title of the blog post the way you wanted it to. Now notice if I go in and add something here, this is my first blog post. Woohoo. Okay, notice that the URL slug does not change when I did that. It maintained the same. So what you can do is, if you ever need to edit the URL slug of your blog post, you can click edit. If you fix the title and you want the URL slug to be exactly like the title, you can just hit delete and then OK, and it will pull it in again. Now notice it added the woohoo on the end there. So sometimes you don't even want it. So you might want the URL slug to be something completely different or shorter. So you can click edit and do first post and then OK. Now the thing about URL slugs is they cannot have spaces, and they also don't contain special characters like exclamation points. WordPress does a good job of automatically filling in and turning your title into a valid URL slug. But if you go in and edit it and try to make it your own, just make sure that you put dashes or underlines and just make sure there's no spaces in that area. So we'll just click OK and save that, and we're going to publish this. Okay, so notice when we were editing blog posts, this said update. If you're adding a brand new blog post, it won't say update, it'll say publish. So you have a couple of options here. Say you're not done editing this blog post, say you have to step away for a little while. You can save over to this button here, you can save it as a draft. Okay, and then it says post draft update. If I were to go back and look at all the posts, you'd see this is my first blog post, and it would have this draft indicator. When a blog post is in draft mode, it is not viewable on the website. So if I were to go look at this website right now, and if I were to look at the blog posts, you'll notice that blog post isn't showing up. So if I go back, click this is my first blog post, so I edit the post that I just added. Notice it still gives me the option of publish. This means I haven't published this blog post yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click publish, and now the blog post is published. It's no longer in draft mode, it's published. So now if I were to go out and look at the blog, I'll just refresh it here, and sure enough, we got this is my first blog post. Okay, now immediately you'll notice something. What's different about this blog post from this blog post? Well, it's an image. But you're thinking, well, I added an image onto the blog post. Well, no, you did not add a featured image. This space right here is reserved for a special image, a location called a featured image. So let's go back to this post we just published. Here in the right sidebar, all the way at the very bottom, it says featured image. If you want your blog post to have a featured image, such as this one right here, you need to actually add a featured image. So all you have to do is click set featured image, and once again I can go and select that cheesecake that I uploaded. You just select it, make sure it has a check mark, and then go back here and click set featured image, and there you go, it's gonna upload that. Now remember, you always have to update whenever you change something with the blog post. You have to update it. So I'm going to go up here and click update. Alright, and now we can flip back to the blog, refresh, and there you go. Now it has an image just like all the other blog posts. So that was a quick summary of how to add and edit blog posts for your WordPress website. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at Eric, ERIC, at juiceyourmarketing.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much for watching this quick video.